مولا علي مدد.
علي مدد.
مولا علي مدد. يا علي
مولا
مدد.
علي مدد.
مولا علي مدد.
مولا علي مدد. مولا علي mudad. Thank you. Welcome. So, Alhamdulillah, we have gathered here to continue our study of Ascent of Soul. So, though we were reading as a group from the book and discussing it, however, last week I did receive some questions from friends who later were reflecting and doing the post-reading. They have asked me some questions and requested to repeat some of the concepts. And when I was reading this book again, the post-reading of what we have done, I felt that we have not done justice to the discussion of it. The concepts are so powerful, so strong. So let us first review some and then we'll go and continue further. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Oops. So the chapter which we are on is Spirit and Spirituality, Ruh or Ruhaniyat. Very interestingly, in this chapter, we have studied about the greatest secret, सबसे बड़ा राज. What is that greatest secret? And that is God's reality. What is God's reality? How do we understand His reality? And very interestingly, what we realize, what we learn, that we are His secret. As humans, we are His secret. So imagine when we talk like that, we are all seeking, finding, looking for the secret. And we are ourselves that secret, because the way he says, Maula Ali has said, and there's a hadith of Prophet Muhammad, almost similar, Man arfa nafsihi faqad arfa rabbi. The one who finds, knows themselves will know the Lord. Now, do we not know ourselves? But there is more to knowing ourselves, that we can understand how we are the greatest secret. So in order to understand our own soul, our own ruhaniyat, we will have to truly find out about ourselves. And our own secret, our own abilities, our own powers are actually hidden within knowledge. So what we are seeking is that through studying this chapter of Ruh and Ruhaniyat, we need to find who we are. We have to constantly understand all what we are learning and apply it on ourselves. When we talk of the recognition of God, it is very difficult. Recognition of God is very difficult. He is in Wahadaniyat. He is in unity. He is monoreality. And we are so many. How do we reach to Him who is one? No one has been able to gain access to Him as per se. We all are gathered here seeking His closeness. Yes, historically we can talk about our peers, our Buzurgwar Deen. We also are seeking that access. But the way when we learn and we look at ourselves, it seems that no one can gain the access. And this chapter teaches us that this is incorrect. This is incorrect. Each one of us is capable and powerful and has the ability to become one with Him. That is our secret. That's what we are tapping into. Who are we? What is our ability? What is our potential? His name is Allahu Akbar. He's supreme. He's the great. He's the mighty. And that mighty Lord has created us. He has not let any deficiencies in us. The deficiencies or weaknesses are all due to us and ourselves. But in reality, when we study about us through knowledge, About us meaning what? Me, you, or who? About our soul. And the way we understand that all of us, we are gathered here for what? Ascent of soul. We want to elevate step by step, climbing up and reach to that stage where we can find the hakikat, the truth. And that is why we are studying this chapter and trying to learn about this greatest secret, which actually in reality is us, ourselves. But through knowledge, we need to find out. So we did talk about the greatest secret. And interestingly, Allah says in Quran that nothing is beyond His mercy and knowledge. Everything is encompassed within His rahmat and within His knowledge. In chapter 40, verse 7, He says, Kulla shay'in rahmatan wa ilma. Kulla shay'in rahmatan wa ilma. If we look at everything, everything is in His rahmat and in His knowledge. We all know that we are full of His mercies, His rahmat. What do we not have? His knowledge. If we were to learn His knowledge, then nothing is beyond His mercy and knowledge. Nothing is beyond. Everything is within it. Now, what do we learn through this chapter when we understand that everything is within His mercy and knowledge? What we learn a term spiritual resurrection, Ruhani Kiyamat. Ruhani Kiyamat, meaning an event happening within our own personal world, within our soul, in which our soul is able to fly and realize the realities of our own soul. Kiyamat is continuously going on. Ruhani Kiyamat is that stage where a Mu'min Salik finds that secret which is hidden. Hidden treasure. One of the name of God is Ganje Makhfi, hidden treasure. When a Mu'min Salik becomes Arif, the one who has Marifat is able to go through Ruhani Kiyamat. Eventually, when that Mu'min Salik understands all the conditions and consistently, with conviction, walks on that path, reaches to that event, that stage where Ruhani Kiyamat happens. How do we understand this Ruhani Kiyamat? What is the simple way of understanding it? Becoming one with Imam. Becoming one with Imam. Seeing the didar of the Imam within their being. Knowing that hidden secret. When that Kiyamat happens, that Arif actually receives everything. How? Why? Because he has recognized or received this hidden secret. Within that hidden secret, hidden treasure, everything is received by that Arif. Mark my words, listen carefully. I'm not saying Mu'min Salik, I'm saying Arif. The journey starts as a Salik, the one who travels on the path of piety, becoming righteous, become Mu'min. But it is this moment when they become Arif, at that time when they go through, eventually going step by step through the Ruhani Kiyamat, they are able to reach to that stage where the khazana, the treasure is hidden. When they get to that treasure, everything is there. Whatever is Imam's secrets, that moment also knows it now. There is nothing hidden. There is no distance or gap between that moment and between that Arif and the Imam. We also talked about fountainhead of soul. Fountainhead of soul, Sarchashmai Ruh or Arwah. All the souls are within the fountainhead. Where is this fountainhead? It is the Imam himself. Again, how do we understand this concept, which we talked about it? But again, we have to remind ourselves, repeat it, so it remains with us. The example of sun. Sun is connected to its sun rays. We do not see that connection, but the rays only come from sun. We know that for a fact. When the day is on, during the daytime, when the sun is out, all the rays are connected to the sun. The sun is the example of the physical world. But in spiritual world, we need to understand that Imam is that sun. Imam is the fountainhead of soul, and every soul is connected to Imam. We may not see it just the way we do not see the rays, sun rays connected to the sun, but they are from the sun. We know that. Each one of us is connected to the Imam. So fountainhead of soul, that is the explanation when we talk about this term from this chapter, that it is Imam who is the son of the religion. It is the Imam who is the fountainhead of soul. We do not see anything attached. There are no wire, nothing. But there is invisible wire, invisible connection to Imam. Our Imam is always with us and we are with Imam. Those who become Mu'min Salik and then Arif, they are able to see that connection. They are able to see how they are communicating with Imam, how they are receiving the knowledge from Imam, how they are receiving the guidance from Imam. So for that, what do we need? We need to have those Batni eyes, Basirat, that sense that we can see. Now we also reviewed one term, multiplicity like unity. The word, we will discuss it more, but multiplicity meaning kasrat. Right now we all are in kasrat. We are so many in numbers. But when we talk of Imam, he is one. And we all being multiplied in numbers, multiple, becoming one with Imam, united, one as single soul. We also use the word mono-reality, yak hakikat, or nafse wahida, single soul. And we had reviewed last time different references of nafse wahida or single soul. So remembering all those references, we understand that when we say nafse wahida or single soul, we are referring to universal soul, nafse kul. Who is that nafse kul? It is Imam. So all the souls of people were created with nafse kul. Nafse kul, all the souls are coming from nafse kul. And it happened in pre-eternity. Therefore, in the universal soul, all of us are united like a single soul. All of us are united as single soul in Nafse Kulli. But when we look at this world, we are so many in numbers, in Kasrat. And that is why we say this concept, Kasrat Numa Wahadat, that we all are so many. But when we are in love of Imam, our heart becomes one. We become all one in our zikr, in calling, in doing giryazari of, to Imam. We become like one. So kasrat numa wahdat, multiplicity like unity. So these are beautiful terms for understand. What do we need to understand? Our connection with the nafse kulli. Same concept in a different form, different way of understanding. We have been understanding the concept of rope, right? That all have to be united with the rope of Allah, Hablullah. Similarly, we also know the concept of higher eye and lower eye. Each one of us, we are connected to this rope. We are not disconnected. We all are connected. The difference is that we are at the lower end, so we call lower eye. And the higher end, it is the higher eye. Higher eye meaning the higher reality of the soul. It is the higher reality of the soul. Now, what is the higher reality? The higher reality is that at this place here, there is nafse kulli, universal soul. Here we all are in kasrat. But in this stage, this maqam is of wahadat. So this is the place of universal soul. What are we trying to do? Rise up to the level of nafse kulli while living in this world. While living in this world, we are hoping to elevate ourselves to become one with Imam. Now, when we say one with Imam, very interestingly, knowledge teaches us the term nafse kulli. It is that soul which we have come from, which is nafse kulli. We all have to elevate and become one with that nafse kulli. The way we all had come from universal soul from pre-eternity, each one of us has to return back to its origin. We also know the concept of circle, that where we have come from, we have to return back to it. Inna Allahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. We all have to return to Him. So what are we talking about when we say pre-eternity or azal in Urdu? What do you think? What are we talking about? How about you ask me at the end? If you do not know the answer, then you ask me. All right, let's move to the next slide. Now, another concept which is given in the book, it is the reflection of sun in the mirror. When we look into the mirror, what do we see? If we were to be standing outside, the sun is on the top and we have mirror in our hand, we will see the sun in our mirror. Sun is with me in my hand. But is it really the sun itself or its reflection? Similarly, when we talk of lower I is actually temporary life. It is temporary life. Our hakikat, our reality is actually with nafse kulli. Our hakikat is actually with nafse kulli. This lower I, whatever we are here, it is not the reality, it's the reflection. The way Rumi says, Ma amada nistam and saya mast. I have not come here, but my reflection. So how do we understand this concept of reflection? We have to have a mirror in our hand and we look at it and we say, sun is with me. But it is just the reflection of the sun. Sun is not here, sun is all above, up there. Meaning when we look at ourselves and we look at everything with our eyes, we forget and we think we are here. But we are just a reflection. In reality, we are not here. This is all like a walking in a dream world. It's all illusion. It is not the reality. So when a mu'min and salik becomes an arif and goes through ruhani kiyamat, when the ruhani kiyamat happens, meaning this mu'min has elevated in ruhaniyat, what happens? This mu'min is able to connect to nafse kulli. And all the souls which are there in the world, in the form of particles, become linked to him. Why linked to him? Remember, we are talking about mu'min. Because this mu'min has elevated himself to become one with the nafse kulli. Now, remember also that when we say nafse kulli, yes, nafse kulli is Imam himself. Because we all have come from Imam. He's the fountainhead of souls. And we all have to return to Imam. But we are talking about ascent of soul. How a mu'min and salik can ascend his soul to get to that level. So we are talking in that context, applying it to ourselves, looking at the examples of our Buzurgwar Deen. That when a mu'min and salik becomes an arif, and if they continue on the path of ruhaniyat, they become one with nafse kulli. When they become one with nafse kulli, remember nafse kulli has all the souls. But that arif gets all the souls which are in kasrat, which are in multiplicity, in the form of particles within his personal world. And he becomes linked, connected to Nafse-Kul. In other words, what we are saying, that when a Mu'min Salik, by walking on these steps by step, elevating, going through this Ruhani Qiyamat, and all the souls are in him connected, it is called collective resurrection. Ijtamai Qiyamat. Ijtamai Qiyamat. And this is what this friend was asking. Ijtamai Qiyamat. Let's take example of our peers. When our peers became one with the Imam, where were we all? We were all within the personal world of our peer, as the world of particles, and peer became one with the Imam. Similarly, when we are studying this book of Allama Sahib, he himself went through this miracle and went through the Qiyamah. When he became one with the Imam, through his Qiyamah, there was collective Qiyamah as well, because all the souls were within him. When we look at this reflection of sun in the mirror, potentially it is a complete sun. Potentially it is a complete sun. But how this potential is changed into actuality, actualization, activation of this potential within our being is through walking on the path, becoming one with the Nafse-Kulli, elevating from lower eye, elevating through that rope to becoming one with that Nafse-Kulli, going through Qiyamah. And the way we understood in the beginning that each one of us has that potential to be able to do that. All of us. Now let's look at it again in a different way. We talk of monoreality, right? We talk of monoreality. But when we look at ourselves, this is humanity, all of us, in kasrat, in multiplicity. But when we look at the peak, on the peak there is only one person. It cannot be multiple. Yeah, at the bottom, yes. The whole humanity, Ismaili Jamaat, everybody is there. But if we continue to go to unity, if we say universal soul, Wahadat, it is only one person. So from this level, a moment starts the journey of going up, elevating, elevating, elevating. When they reach there, at the level of where Ruhani Qiyamat is happening, within their personal world, all these souls are there as well. So in one way, it is the Infaradi Qiyamat, personal resurrection, but in other words, it is the Qiyamat of all the Mu'minins. However, the difference is who is awake and who is sleeping. Who is awake and who is sleeping? That's the question. Meaning when our peers went through Qiyamah and wrote these beautiful Girans and taught us, जाग मन मेरा तू काहे को सोता है, मान का जन्म रतन है, तू काहे को खोता है. Was he telling himself or was he teaching us? Peer was teaching us that we need to realize that within our being, within our soul, there is this spark which has this potential to reach and elevate to become one, to find the reality, to find the haqiqat, to become one with the Nafse-Kulli. And when that majiza happens, then we say, वो मुझ में, मैं उसमें कि वो मुझ में, ये सिर्र क़ियामत है. That is he in me or am I in him? Meaning there is no difference. There is no difference because that Arif became one with the Imam. They became one with the Imam. Again, the single soul. Single soul, Nafse Wahida. As Imam has talked about in his speeches, we have understood this, that what does single soul means for us as a smiley. Hazim Imam says this is his favorite verse, chapter 4, verse 1. He says, my favorite verse, which is about single soul, that whole humanity has been created from universal soul, single soul. And all of us will have to return back to that single soul. Now, very beautifully, the Quran talks about this single soul, nafse kulli, universal soul, in a very wisdom-filled way. Very wisdom-filled way. Meaning, we have to really reflect and understand. When Quran says single soul, what is it meaning? It is actually talking about this kainati ruh or nafse kul. This kainati ruh, this universal soul is who? That is Imam actually. It is Imam. He is the fountainhead of all the souls. He is the source of all the eternal light. And beautifully in Quran chapter 31 verse 28 says that your creation and resurrection is but a single soul. Our creation, we think that we were born from our wombs of our mother and then, tomorrow we will die. But in reality, our creation happened at the level of nafse kul. Remember, we only think of our body. Our body has no meaning if there is no soul, because their body would be dead, right? So our creation and resurrection is but a single soul. So our journey, our hakikat, is actually nafse kulli. Because we are created from nafse kul, and our qiyamat, our end, our merging, our fanayat will be in nafse kul. જ્યાંથી આવ્યા છે ત્યાં જ પાછું જાવું છે. So how important it is to understand when we talk of elevation of our own soul, when we want to elevate, become one with the Imam, we have to realize that we have come from universal soul and we have returned back to universal soul. Now between this level and that level, of course there are darjat, and we have to understand every darjat and elevate. Now the question is, we do understand darjat. We've been attending classes, we do understand darjat. But when we talk of, becoming one with universal soul, still, how does it happen? What is the process? What does it mean? I understand the conditions, I understand the darjat, but how else do I comprehend this concept, as my friend asked? So let me show you this slide. How does it happen? What is the process? And I'll give you 3 examples and 3 different ways of explaining, which actually Allama Sahib explains. And we will quote here and try to understand. The first example is beautiful, of a host, guest, and a servant. Very interesting, and I hope you'll remember it because it's easy. We all live this, right? When people come to our home, we are host, and then we have a guest, and we also serve them as well, right? Or some, if you're in Pakistan or India, you may even have servants as well. Western world is not that blessed in that way. But no matter what, we understand the concept here, right? Host, guest, and a servant. Who is the host? Host is actually our Imam. Host is that light of Allah. Guest is actually Mu'min. Which Mu'min? Who is becoming an Arif. And very beautifully, you will be shocked to hear this example. Servant is who? Servant is actually his angels, namely Jibrail. Namely Jibrail. Now Jibrail, how can he be servant? It's mind-blowing. How am I saying that? Remember, when we talk of all these hududs, or say these archangels, Jibrail, Mikael, Israfil, Israel. Jibrail is the lowest branch. It is the most accessible branch. Jibrail is the lowest branch. And he works as a servant. When a Mu'min and Salik starts doing bandagi, Baitul Khayal, starts reciting Isme Azam, and with Isme Azam, this Mu'min starts learning the knowledge as well. What happens? This Mu'min is preparing his personal world to meet Imam. This Mu'min is preparing his personal world to meet Imam, become the guest of Imam. Now, Jibrail is the servant of Imam because Imam is the host, right? What happens? Jibrail comes to help us. Now, the question is, how does Jibrail come? What does that mean? Again, we keep it very simple and easy. The way Imam teaches us that you have to sit in khayal for 2 hours, right? We do Nurani time ibadat, but on top of that, he says that remain in khayal for 2 hours. And we have discussed in so many lectures in our Farman classes that nobody can have this khayal, regurgitation of thoughts or reflection until and unless they have knowledge. Only through knowledge one can do khayal. When a Mu'min and Salik is able to reflect and understand and realize and extract, points, gems, wisdomful points from lectures and reading and learning, it is the mercy of Imam through sending his servants to guide us in our heart. To guide us in our heart. Now, we are very simple, very small, we can take the example of Prophet Muhammad, which will help us understand at a higher level and then our level as well. We do know that Prophet Muhammad went to Mi'raj, but a point came where Jibril said, oh, I cannot go further. Now you have to go alone. Again, we had talked about in the previous chapter in this book that we thought that the limit, Jibril had reached his limit. He could not go any further. But what had happened, Jibril had merged with Prophet Muhammad, and then Prophet Muhammad continued to go further. Meaning Prophet Muhammad had reached to that peak of becoming single soul, becoming one with the Lord. Even Jibril had to merge with Prophet because on the peak, it has to be one. There cannot be two. It has to be one. So now bring it to ourselves again. When we are Mu'min and Salikin, we are learning knowledge, hoping to become Arif. We are working hard, following the Farman of Imam. Learn, 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 learn. Mawla says 11 times. When we are doing that and we are becoming very regular focus in our ibadat of Baitul Khayal as well. Now there is no doubt there will be elevation. There is no doubt. Because we have learned the concepts of taqwa, purity, following the ethics, it is impossible for someone not to progress. I hope you are listening to me. It is impossible for anyone not to progress if we are all doing this, what we just talked about. Jibrail will come to them and guide them in their heart because he is assigned to help us. And after Jibril comes Mikael and Israfil, Israel, all these angels are there. But the lowest branch of that tree is Jibril. So Jibril is that one who becomes activated by the good deeds of the moment. Without the good deeds, the word is not elevated. Without the word, good deeds are never understood. So all these concepts, we have been talking about it in different lectures. The way we are maturing and learning, now we are bringing all the concepts together to learn higher concepts, right? So we see that in the second example, we look at these three numbers, 1, 2, and 3. Now, very interestingly, we see less distance between 1 and 2 and lot of distance between 2 and 3. So 1 is actually alluding to Imam, 2 is alluding to Mu'min, 3 is actually alluding to Jibrail. On the journey of Ruhaniyat, we have to realize that the role of Jibrail is to help Mu'min to elevate. But when the closeness comes, it is between 1 and 2. This 2 becomes 1. And then only there is 1. The 3 does not exist. The 3 does not exist. Now, third one is related to the same example, but the name is Fana and return. We all understand the concept of Fanayat and then returning back to our Lord. The Qanun, the law is that we have come to Him and we have to return to Him. How do we return? The concept of returning. Let's again look at the numbers so it becomes easier for us to understand. In order to get to 1, because 1 is the topmost, nafs kulli, and that's where we want to reach. If we look at the number 9, the 9, which is bigger actually, has to submit and fana itself into 8. Concept of humility. We may think of ourselves as big shots or whatever, but we fana ourselves to elevate. 8 will annihilate itself in 7. 7 will merge into 6. 6 will submit to 5. 5 will annihilate itself to 4. Do we see the Qanun? So this becomes easier for us to understand that how it is all about 1 and 2. It is not about the kasrat. The kasrat becomes 1 with the moment. The kasrat actually becomes 1 with the moment. And therefore, we have to understand this concept of circle. That yes, we all have come from Him, all of us, but we all are in the circle. And this circle has to complete. This circle has to complete, willingly or unwillingly, consciously, unconsciously, this circle has to complete. What is the key? If we were to understand the concept of submission, of fana, of merging, of dying, elevating our souls, activating our Jibrail through Ism Azam Ibadat and learning the knowledge. Wa kulle shayin rahmata wa ilma. Everything is encompassed, everything is in His rahmat and knowledge. If we understand that concept, then it becomes easier for us to understand what is that process behind becoming one, becoming mono-reality. So I hope that it makes sense that all this is possible for us, but we have to have an idea and a concept in our mind to be able to realize and understand that how am I submitting myself to go further and further by becoming an arif, elevating, because it is only the soul with knowledge can elevate. We understand that concept. When we realize and understand that concept, we have to talk about this Quranic verse. The moments are surely brothers. Imam says, wherever you see, you will see soul friends. Ruhani dost ne jo bocho. Wherever we see soul friends. And Quran very clearly talks about that we all are from single soul. And we have to all return and be one with it. So Quran gives us very powerfully and wisdomfully this concept that we all have come from nafs and we all have to return. And I hope that through last time's class, when we had discussed, we have taken the references of different farmans, ginans, and imams' speeches to actually discuss the same concept. But today we are talking about the same thing in a very different way because it can be difficult. These concepts are difficult, but we try to simplify it so we can all understand, take some examples and associate with it to be able to absorb these difficult concepts. Sometimes when we say it, okay, oneness, oneness, but how? What is the process? So we understand going into deep and realize that how it is happening step by step. And can we imagine that Imam, Hazrat Imam, in 2007, when he speaks in this uh, graduation ceremony, which we referred to last time, right? In 2007 in Paris, 15th June, Imam talks about this single soul. We all are humanity, but coming from single soul. He's teaching this concept to the humanity, which is given in Quran. Are we as Ismailis understanding it, that how we are to learn this concept and absorb and comprehend? Because Imam said that each word of Quran will present to you a concept. Are we understanding this concept of Nafs-e Kulli? How are we related to Nafs-e Kulli? We become very impressed by the term, but in its term itself has meaning to it. What is that meaning? Our own connection to this Nafs-e Kulli. So when we want to describe Nafs-e Kull, we will have to understand our own selves, our own souls, and our connection to Nafs-e Kulli. And we learned different ways of understanding that how we are going to be one with Nafs-e Kull. What do we do to become one with it? Hadith. Momins are surely brothers and prophets are like single soul. So very important hadith that we have to realize that there are darjat. When we talk of kasrat numa wahadat, this multiplicity like unity is actually happening in our prophets, our peers, high-ranking mu'minins. It is not happening in the humanity. It is happening in prophets because prophets are like single soul. But mu'minins are brothers. When we are pious and we are pure, we get connected to our Imam. Because Prophet was yesterday the Nur-e-Mujassam, the embodied light, and today it is Imam. The more pure we are, the more knowledgeable we are going to get close and close to that number 2. And through number 2, we will reach to number 1. Again, make it simple. The way our peers taught the whole Jamaat. But then there were some Mu'mineen who Peer called Jire Wahala. He did not call everybody Jire Wahala. There were some he called Jire Wahala. The one who are living brothers. Those who were one with him. He was number 2, becoming 1. And those who had united with him became 1. So this hadith needs a lot of reflection that being moments, each one of us are brothers and sisters. But our Prophet is like the single soul. They are the boat of salvation, and we need to sit in that boat to be able to get to salvation. So that was all review. So let's start what we need to talk about this new paragraph, and we'll start it. We may not finish it because we talked about lots of different things covering the same content. So when we are reading one book, we may think we are just reading this book. But in reality, if you relate, we have talked about and read about the same concepts in the book Hakiki Didar, True Vision. We have read about same concepts. We are reading, in fact, actually in Book of Healing. Are we able to connect from the content from this book and that book and this Quranic verse which is mentioned in this book as well? Are we able to understand that? Are we doing that kind of course reading? Or we are still having a kind of tunnel vision and looking at that one page and not able to connect, reflect, and see how each book is talking about the same thing, but beautifully in a very different ways. Only when we truly reflect and understand and regurgitate what we are studying, pre-reading, post-reading, listening to the lectures again, then we will be able to connect the dots and understand how can we elevate ourselves. So the question here is recognition in the Quran. Does Quran teaches us about recognition? We all know Quran is full of guidance. However, this guidance is actually in the language of wisdom. Because when you read Tanzil, the translation, it does not make sense many a times. But when you understand the Ta'wil, it is beautiful and it is amazing. It is just you want to continue to understand the Ta'wil because Ta'wil is so beautiful. So it is not easy to recognize Imam through Quran without the understanding of the Ta'wil. So the way we know this beautiful verse, right? Ayah Misbah, the beginning of it, Allahu nuru samawati wal ars, chapter 24, verse 35. Allahu nuru samawati wal ars. Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth. Why do we not see that? Why do we not see that? The question is that. Do we ask that question to ourselves? If we are asking, then meaning we are looking for answers as well. When we look at this verse, it is talking about this divine light. Khuda ka noor, divine light. Allahu nuru samawati wal ars. It is also talking about ruhani ilm. Because without knowledge, without this ruhani ilm, how do we understand or recognize this nur of Khuda? When he says Allahu nuru samawati wal ars, he is the light of the heavens and the earth. So it is first talking about his light, then it is also talking about spiritual knowledge. Spiritual knowledge. Then it is also talking about Nurani Hidayat. Which Hidayat? Not worldly Hidayat. Nurani Hidayat. Luminous guidance. Luminous guidance. And finally, divine recognition. Marifat of Khudawand. Meaning, Quran does teach us about recognition, but it is speaking in the language of wisdom. When we unfold this, concept that how does Quran teach us the recognition, what we realize through this verse that Allahu nuru samawati wal ars. This is not even the complete verse. This is just one line. And what we realize that in this one line, we are able to extract that it is talking about divine light. It is talking about Ruhani ilm. It is talking about Nurani Hidayat. It is talking about Marifat of Khuda. 4 huge, powerful concepts. Just one line. Is there more? Probably a lot more. But can we understand these 4 big terms, that his light, his marifat, his hidayat, his guidance, are we able to understand it all? And the response is that only those who have inner eyes. What are they called? Ahle Basirat. Ahle Basirat. Those who have inner eyes, they are the only ones who can understand this Nurani guidance, Ruhani ilm. They are the only ones who understand it. So what do we need? We need that basirat. We need those eyes. When we have those eyes, then only we will be able to understand recognize him and his manifestations, because his light has very many manifestations. स्वरूप है आटला બધાના સ્વરૂપ છે, અનલિમિટેડ સ્વરૂપ છે, તજલ્લિયાતી दुनिया है. This world of manifestation is only seen by Arif. And this book talks about that Arif has this basirat through which he is able to have these observations, which are called mushahadat. Meaning, Arif is able to see within his own personal world how all this Nurani guidance, Ruhani ilm, Noor of Khuda, Marifat of Khuda, it's all there. Which moment who has become Arif is able to see, observe within his being. He has this mushahadat to attain the marifat, to recognize. When we say Allah is Noor of heavens and the earth, He is the light, He is the Noor. How do we see His Noor? How do we understand His Noor? It is all in His manifestations. Do we know of His manifestations? Yes. Hadri Imam is manifestation. The light of Allah has manifested as Hadri Imam. Yesterday it was Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah. Day before it was Maula Ali. Before that it was Paigambar Muhammad. So it is a world of manifestations. But these manifestations can only be observed by Arif. Because Arif is the one who has the marifat. Again, when Arif gets the marifat, what is happening? What does that mean? Because he is getting the Noor. Now what does the Noor do? All the darkness goes away. When the darkness is gone due to light, not only that he is able to see things, but he is able to see things which were invisible, which were hidden. Because in the light, nothing remains hidden. Now we understand that why does he say that he is the hidden treasure. Only by seeking the light, we will be able to see his hidden secret. When the light is there, nothing is hidden, everybody will know everything. But that darja, which is the darja of basirat, only Arif reaches there. Only Arif reaches there. And when I say Arif, all women, do not be disheartened, because we have example of Bibi Maryam, who was Arifa. So we only normally talk in male masculine gender because that's how our language is. But in reality, it is Arif or Arifa. Bibi Maryam was Arifa. She also had seen this world of manifestations in her batin. She had elevated herself. So our gender physically does not make any difference. Arif or Arifa, Momin or Momina, both can elevate themselves and reach to that level. So in other words, what are we saying? What are we saying? Allah, who is the light of the heavens and earth, actually becomes manifest to Arif. When the Arif has the Noor, meaning he has seen the Didar of Imam, meaning Imam has manifested to Arif. And Arif now becomes manifested. Arif becomes manifested to heavens and the earth. Nothing remains hidden. Nothing remains hidden. How? How did he get to that level? The key word was Basirat. Ahle Basirat, the people of inner eye, those who work hard and get to that stage where they are able to have this mushahidah, these observations of going within themselves in their personal world. So in result, what are we seeing? Wherever in Quran there is light mentioned, in reality it is actually talking about marifat. Wherever there is nur, it is about marifat. When one has a marifat, meaning they have the light, there is no darkness. When there is no darkness, they can see what is not visible to others, but visible to that arif, because now he has the light. Meaning he's able to see all what is hidden treasures. Alhamdulillah. So let us stop here and we will continue to get back to this paragraph and talk about it. This is a dense book, meaning that it has so many concepts within it that if we do not pay attention, we will miss out. So we really have to chew these words which are written and truly reflect and understand that are we really understanding what is being written here? So shukranillah walhamdulillah, shukranillah walhamdulillah. I hope that you truly benefited.
Subhanallah, Subhanallah, Niyamat Saiba. Indeed, it is a dense book, and this was a dense session, but so rich and so clearly explained, extremely complex concepts, so clearly explained. And Shukr Mola for the Ilmi friend who asked the question, how does this happen and what is the process? How beautiful that, the connections that are between us all, that yearning in the heart of that Ilmi friend allowed us all to benefit so immensely from this review. And there is so much here that surely we must all reflect and regurgitate. No problem. 2 hours on this session is no problem because there's so much here. Shukr Mola, may I ask you just one small clarifying question as we await some questions, inshallah, reflections. Friends, please, in this moment, reach into your hearts and ask yourselves, what is one point I got from today? What is one thing that really resonated for me? What is one reflection I can share, one question I can share? You can see how it enriches us all when you do so. Niyamat Saiba, this Nachis has a very basic little question. When you were speaking about Jibrail, Shukr Mola, being assigned to help us on this, when we are really working hard, very regular, focused in our ibadat, when we have taqwa, when we have ethics, when we are working hard to obtain knowledge. And then you gave us this such glad tidings that this is possible, and that it will happen, this progress will happen. Now, when you were saying about, he becomes activated by the good deeds, then you were talking about the good deeds, I think you said, cannot be understood unless there is the word. I missed that. I wasn't clear. Would you please kindly explain further?
So we have talked about in our session of Brahm Prakash, in session of good deeds, difference between true deeds and good deeds, and importance of word. Word is kalima. Kalima is isme azam. So, the word elevates the deeds, meaning ilm, amal, both has to be there. In other words, simplified, sometimes what happens that Jamaat focuses on only Isma Azam Ibadat, which is very, very important. I'm not saying do not. Please do not misunderstand me. But there is Ibadat, which is important, Nurani time Ibadat. But second is that knowledge. With knowledge, we understand what is Ibadat, how is Ibadat, what does it mean, how to do, what is the progress. And along with that, in between, is our deeds. Meaning, this understanding is crucial. Good deeds, we think good deeds versus true deeds. And again, all this is through knowledge that we understand that how the deeds are elevated due to word, through Isme Azam. In other words, what we are saying that it is all interconnected. If someone just does do Isma Azam Ibadat and does not seek knowledge, they will not understand this. They will not understand this. So with knowledge and with Ibadat, this moment becomes Arif, and now the journey becomes very fast. So there's a beautiful verse in Quran, I think chapter 14 somewhere, that the good word kalima elevates the good deeds, something like that. And that's what I was referring to.
Shukr Mola, Shukr Lila. Thank you so much for clarifying. Friends, would you kindly come forward with your thoughts, reflections, and ilmi points that you gained from today's amazing session? We await your input.
It was amazing and it helps us a lot. And just as Sultan Muhammad Shah said, ilm wali ruh daraja ba daraja upar chadti hai. So we do the bandagi, but we don't have a ilm. We cannot progress because we don't see it, what is miracle happening with us. So thank you, and I appreciate it. We just, Mola give you lot more blessings to teach us.
Thank you. Thank you for a wonderful comment.
Yali Madad.
Mulali Madad, Kareem?
I have a very simple question. In the blue triangle, we have the multiplicity. In today's time, we see that multiplicity increasing, i.e. the population increasing. Is there any spiritual reason for that?
So it is a kanun, it is a law that um, the world is here, the planet is here, and the planet has to have population. It is very interesting that you say that the population is increasing, whereas we see nowadays natural calamities are happening so much that, we see numbers are decreasing as well. So it is His mercy, it is His kanun that people come to this world and then they are returned to that world. It continues to happen. The world goes through different cycles. This is the cycle of Qiyamah, and this is the cycle of folding, meaning that all what has unfolded in this world will be folded in the personal world of Arif Kamil. So again, I'm not sure about the population as per se in the planet, but the concept is about kasrat. And when you talk of kasrat, if it is, let's say, you and me, it is two, but we count Shela in, it becomes kasrat. That is the concept. That the way we took the example of, Momin being the guest, Imam being the host, and then angels being helpers. So 3 is kasrat, 2 needs to become 1. There has to be a sangam. That was the concept we were trying to teach. Ji.
Niamat Saiba, we have a beautiful comment by Alwaz Riaz Momin Saib in the chat. Riaz Saib, if you would wish to come and say more about that, that would be lovely. I'm going to read it just now. He says, indeed, that level of spiritual resurrection is possible for a mu'min when he or she progresses on the path of spirituality. As Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah, may our souls be sacrificed to this Imam, said that if someone someone aims to being like Pir Sadruddin or Pir Shams, you can rise and reach such a status, but you can rise even higher. Subhanallah.
Subhanallah. Thank you, Riaz. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah.
Malali Madad.
So I wanted to ask that you talking about when the Arif goes through the resurrection, their Qiyamah, we also have a collective resurrection. Um, how how does one feel that collective resurrection within their being? Because obviously, if I have gone through it, I would see a difference within me, or if I could get it some kind of understanding. Thank you.
Thank you for listening, because you were listening. This is a very important point, and I'm glad you caught it, because it is a valid question. How did it happen? And these individual resurrection are constantly happening. It's not that it's not happening, it is happening. So how do we understand this collective resurrection which is happening? And if we want to take the example of, individual resurrection, we also can realize that when Imam sits on the Gadi, when Imam sits on the Gadi, Imam also goes through this Qiyamah. And so let me take that example. Allah is merciful. Let me take that example because it will become very easy. When Imam sits on the Gadi and he becomes the Imam of the whole world. Remember, Imamun Nas, Imam is the Imam of the whole humanity, and Imamul Muttaqin, Imam of the righteous. Now we as Ismailis, we go to Darbar and we say, Ya Mawla, we give you our bayat, you are our Imam. We don't see other people, Jews or Christians or whoever in humanity, coming to Imam. What happens when in the physical world, Imam is becoming Imam, the Joma is changing, there is infiradi Qiyamah, individual Qiyamah is happening. But in reality, all the souls are connected to Imam because Imam is the fountainhead of all the souls. So some awake, willingly, consciously are witnessing that Qiyamah, whereas majority are sleeping, unconscious, unwilling, but there is no choice. They have to go through the Qiyamah. So this is the beautiful example for us to understand that we read in Quran very clearly that Imam is Imamun Nas and Imamul Muttaqin. But we should ask, right, how Imam is Imamun Nas? Because people don't call him Imam, we call him Imam. He is universal soul. All the souls are connected to him. When this Batini Qiyamah is not evident, it is hidden. When the Qiyamah comes, meaning that when Imam sits on the Gadi, all the souls are called upon to come to the huzur of Imam, willingly or unwillingly. That is the Qanun given in the Quran. Tahan wa karhan, willingly or unwillingly, everybody has to be there because that's the Qanun of Allah and Allah's Qanun does not change. Whenever a moment becomes an Arif, say Arif-e-Kamil, Arif-e-Kamil when became one with the Imam, the whole world's souls were within him. Majority, unconscious, sleeping. Minority, awake and in realization. Now your second part of question is also very important because you're saying that we all went through it and I agree, yes, we all went through it. But do we know that? No, we don't know that. So what does that mean? Again in Quran, in Surah Araf, he does talk about Alastu bi Rabbikum Kalu Bala. He asked this question, tell me, am I not your Lord? And the answer is, indeed, you are my Lord. The soul is responding, yes, indeed, you are my Lord. But where is this happening, this communication? In Batin. This soul which is within us, it knows its destination, its Lord. But due to this physical body, we are into this sickness of forgetting. Humans are forgetful. As soon as we come to this world, we forget what was our origin. And that is the reason, that is why we need to stay in remembrance. Remember. Recall what you have forgotten. If a mu'min salik walks on this path and stays in remembrance through knowledge, through ibadah, through zikr, giryazari, all riyazats, which we've been talking about, what they do, they remember. Where do they remember? Within their personal world. That how all these events have happened in Ruhani world. Because each one of us was there. Each one of us was there. How come those who are Arif meaning who has Marifat, they are able to understand this, others are not. Meaning, when we talk of remembrance, in the beginning it is all zikr, ibadat, tasbihat. But then we do realize that more and more it is knowledge, because it is with knowledge first ilmul yaqeen. We are reading that we were there. With reading, there is a yaqeen stage of certainty through knowledge, and then it goes to ainul yaqeen when we become ahle basirat, and then we go to haqiqat, getting the haq, complete marifat. So I hope, Nasreen, this helps. Very valid and important question. Thank you for asking.
Yes, it does help, but I also wanted to sort of make a comment because it's something clarified with me, and I thought I wanted to also let you know that because of that knowing willingly and non-willingly we were there, that led to us remembering more within us because I don't know, maybe some people were elevated just like you mentioned, and that led us to taking these ilmi classes, for example. So because your soul knew and it learned and it just pulled you towards these classes to allow you to learn more and perhaps get more knowledge of that. So thank you very much for clarifying that. Appreciate that. Thank
Wow,
you.
beautiful. Thank you.
Subhanallah, so beautiful and opens up so much more. We could spend another hour, I think. Niyamat Sahaba, there's two more questions in the chat. I know we're now at 9:30. Would you like to take those questions, or should we hold to another time?
Yeah, we'll tackle that in the next class then. Thank you for asking. Yes, you're right. We are quite late in the time, so let us take a leave, Shaila.
Shukr Mola. Zinat Sahib has asked two beautiful questions. Zinat Sahib, we will hold on to those questions for the next session. And thank you so much, Niamat Saiba. Shukr Ali Allah for a very, very wonderful session with lots and lots to reflect on. May Ali Allah shower you with his best and most loving blessings. Still questions are coming in. We have one more. We'll track them all for next time.
Yes, we will.
Inshallah. Thank you
Inshallah.
so much. Ya Ali Madat friends. Wonderful
Yeah.
participation. Thank you so much. Ya Ali Madat.
Thank you, Yali Madad, Yali Madad. Thank you,
Yeah,
Shaila.
Yali Madad.
Yali Madad,
Yali Madad, and thank you.
Yali Madad, Yali Madad.
Yani Madad.
Yali Madad,
Yeah,
yes.
Ya Ali
limited.
Madat.
Yali Madad,
Yeah, limited.
Miriam.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yani Madad. Thank you so
Yali
much.
Madad.
Yali Madad. Thank you.
Yali Madad, thank you, ma. Yali Madad.
Yali Madad.